Hello and welcome back to Orsa Knits. Today I've compiled a little list of 10 free patterns for the springtime. I did one of these videos last autumn and quite a few of you really liked it, so I've been excited to try and do another one. This time for when the weather is just a little bit warmer, but still kind of in that transitional phase between the winter and the spring. I've selected quite a wide mix of things, so I've got my fingers crossed that there'll be something in there for everyone. Pattern number 1 is from the very talented designers over at EweKnit Toronto, and my first pattern I'm going to bring to you is called the Lana Pullover, and it's this really gorgeous, soft, effortless, oversized blouse that has some really interesting, dainty, feminine details. Now this top is knit in 2 strands of yarn, so you've got 1 strand of mohair and 1 strand of another lace weight yarn. In this case, I think it was 2 EweKnit yarns, so that sounds very fancy and very nice. And I really love this pale shade of pink. I think that this really works for this pattern because it makes it very sheer and sort of perfect and romantic for the spring. But I also think that this top would work equally well in some darker, more moody shades, like maybe a navy or a burgundy or a black, if you wanted to dress it up and wear it in the evening. Now, something that really stood out to me about this pattern in particular was the fact that the silhouette was quite classic and oversized, but the pattern includes some really intricate and particular details, like the scalloped edging along the neckline and the cuffs, and the eyelet sort of yoke increase bit around the chest. I quite like the eyelet yoke, especially if I was wearing a camisole underneath, but I reckon you could probably easily customize it and not include any of those holes if you didn't want them. Okay, so now on to pattern number 2, which is the first of 2 patterns from a Filcolana collection. I think it was the one for spring-summer last year, and I believe it's called Flowers and Dreams. They have an absolutely gorgeous selection of free patterns that I highly recommend you check out. And the first one I wanted to show you is called Fi or Fi. It's by a designer who I believe is called Rachel Sogaard, and she has a couple of other patterns in this collection too. This one really stood out to me because after the romance and the volume of my first mohair selection, I wanted something a little bit more classic and fitted and quite sort of sweet. I really like how neat and immaculate the finish of this little t-shirt is. The textured design, which is repeated throughout the t-shirt, gives it a lot of charm, which I think will mean it will be great to pair with sort of nice dresses or just long skirts, and it will be equally cute if you add a little collar like they have in the pictures. So yeah, pattern number 2. All of the links will be down below as always, just because I probably will mispronounce some of the names. I've tried to do my research, but it's difficult sometimes. Anyway, links and names of patterns and designers will be down below. Alright, now on to pattern number 3, which is by the same designer, so Rachel Sogaard, and this one is called Fabienne, and it's a cardigan that features some absolutely gorgeous floral embroidery. Now, I don't know about you, but when I think of the springtime and those sort of transitional knitwear pieces that people make, I do often have this image of really intricate, beautiful floral embroidery that just springs into my mind. But I've never myself actually ever tried embroidery on knitwear, so I think that this free pattern could be a great excuse for me to try it out. The cardigan base for this lovely embroidery design is very classic and has a little bit of a sort of retro feel to it, in that it's a very simple shape. I think you could wear it with quite a few things, but I equally thought that if you're not so keen on the style of this particular cardigan, you could take the gorgeous intricate embroidery sort of template that comes with this pattern and just apply it to something else and try out the embroidery like I really hope I'll get the chance to this spring. Pattern number 4 is one I absolutely had to include because I think no free patterns list would be complete without the addition of a pattern from the wonderful designers over at Espace Tricot. And I included a couple of their designs in my last video, and it's because they just have such a massive amount of wonderful free patterns available on Ravelry. So once again, do check them out. You will definitely find something that you like. And one of the patterns that I stumbled across that I thought would be really, really good for spring this year was this lovely cardigan. Now, the pronunciation of this is going to be difficult for me. I believe it's the Livresque cardigan, by Espace Tricot. And this is just a really classic, simple cardigan knit in worsted weight yarn with some accent stripes in 3 different colours. Something that I really like about this particular design is the fact that it would give you the chance to use up some scraps of worsted weight yarn that you probably have in your stash and really experiment with the colour combination. The cardigan itself is a very simple, minimal and modern looking design. It's quite long, which I myself really enjoy, especially now as it gets a little bit warmer. You really want something that you can kind of grab on your way out and layer over the top of other things in case you get a little bit too cold. Because I don't know about you, but the weather here in Italy is super changeable and weird at the moment. I can wake up in the morning and think it's going to be a bright, warm, sunny day, and it might be raining and I'll be shivering by the afternoon if I don't have something like a cardigan or a shawl with me. So yeah, this is a great one for that. My next pattern is extremely pretty and just gives me really dainty, elegant ballerina vibes, and that is the, let me just get the name right, Ballerina wrap top from Two of Wands. Now, Two of Wands is one of the first sort of more contemporary style knitwear design, groups, I guess, that I came across when I was looking on Ravelry when I had just started knitting. And yeah, they remain a great resource for free patterns. With a lot of them, you can click onto their patterns on Ravelry and then click through to their blog where they do actually offer quite a few things for free. And one of the patterns that they offer for free is this really, really pretty ballerina wrap top. I enjoy this design just because I think it's really, really classic. It's very versatile in that you could probably wear a camisole or a long sleeve top underneath, or for going into the summer, if you think that that would be a bit too hot, you could just wear it as it is. And I think that it would suit so many different body types. The wrap tie detail means that you could adjust the sort of size and shaping of the waistline really, really easily to fit you exactly right. That's something that I really, really love as a detail in this pattern. And I think the way that they've done those ribbon cords just looks absolutely gorgeous. The sleeves on this are also a very, very pretty feature because they are a delicate sort of raglan, and that goes into quite a tiny little cap sleeve that just looks really, really sweet. This next design is from a very talented new to me designer who I believe is called Amelie Designs. And this pattern is a perfect example of why I think she's really, really great. This is what looks like quite a simple, elegant little sort of halter top for summer. But when you look closer, you'll notice that there are so many details which just add a lot of charm and interest to what is a very elegant and simple piece. I really, really love this top in the burgundy that she's selected. I think that that would be a colour that I would consider making it in myself. And I like the fact that I think that this would be a really, really good piece for when it's quite hot outside, so you want to wear something a little bit more skimpy, but you still want to feel sort of elegant and not like you're too bare, I suppose, up here. And the neckline of this piece really is the thing that made it stand out to me. It's just so impeccably neat. It looks wonderful in the photographs, but when I got looking at the other pictures as well, there were some details that just really stood out to me, like the detail down the side of the pattern that goes from the underarm down to the hips. That's just really, really pretty, and you wouldn't notice it most of the time, but when you catch a glimpse, it's just something really sweet and charming. And that goes down into what is actually a sort of wrap section, which I do quite like, because I think that that would allow me to play around with how I want it to hang around my hips. But I do think that that could be equally very easily omitted if you just wanted a very simple straight line down. So yeah, this is a great one, and I highly recommend anyone checking her out. She's not a designer that I hear about very often, so yeah, like big thumbs up for her. She is really, really great. Now, this next design that I'm bringing to you is also another sort of spring-summer top. And this one I really, really love because of how nice and chunky these straps are. So talking about wanting to not feel so bare up here, I like the fact that the camisole's shape is very, very minimal and very chic, and then it goes up with wider straps just so that it gives you the chance to maybe hide your bra straps so that they're not on display. And yeah, that for me is definitely not a pet peeve, but I do feel a little bit weird if I feel like my bra straps are hanging out. So yeah, this is nice and thick. I also just think that the pattern on this is extremely interesting. The diagonal shapes sort of reminded me of a mitered square, and I think that they add something a little bit interesting and textural to a very, very simple silhouette that would look super elegant, maybe with some linen trousers or some comfy shorts. This was a collaboration with the yarn brand Manos del Uruguay, and it is by a designer called Luciana Lopez. And I just have to say, it really caught my eye when I was scrolling through Ravelry. It popped up and I just thought, that looks really, really comfy, but also really elegant. Pattern number 8 brings us into the sort of accessory or small knit section of this video, and I had to include, because so many people love making them, a pair of super cozy socks for spring. And these are the Rosemary Socks by Tea Knitting on Instagram. And I do think that these are like a quintessential spring pattern. You have those bright, gorgeous colours and a little bit of a leaf design that goes around the ankle. It just makes them really pretty. And something that I particularly like about this pattern is how I think that they would be almost like a spring cleaning for your stash, because she combines a mohair with a normal fingering weight yarn to get some really interesting colour gradients in this sock pattern. And I think it would also be a really good opportunity for people who haven't had much practice knitting small circumference pieces to try out a little bit of colour work on, yeah, this tiny sock section where she does just a tiny bit of colour work. But it would just give you a little bit of a flavour of that and would be really, really good practice. I think these socks just look extremely cosy and would be a fantastic way to use up all of the bits and scraps and balls of mohair I have left over from all of my cold weather knits. Now, pattern number 9. I did just say that the socks were the quintessential spring pattern, but no, these are definitely the quintessential spring pattern. And these are the Spring Mittens by Amanda Sund. Now, these are definitely one for people who suffer through quite a cold springtime, because they are mittens after all, so it does have to be quite chilly outside to need to wear mittens. However, I just think that this beautiful bright colour work is so gorgeous and really, really evokes the colour and the energy of spring. Now, these mittens are made like traditional Latvian mittens, according to the Ravelry. I have never tried any mittens with such intricate colourwork before, but I think that these would be a really fun challenge for anybody who is a colourwork lover or who has little bits of yarn left over that they'd like to use to make something that would make a really beautiful gift, or just something for yourself that could add a lot of colour and a lot of joy and fun to any outfit. I think I might make a pair of these and give them to somebody actually in the next few months, even though it will be a little bit too hot for it here in Italy, but that's okay, they can wear it in autumn and it will still be equally as cute. Now my final design for this free pattern video is something very chic and almost quite minimalist, but that includes some techniques which I personally have never done before. Now this shawl is called the Till by Sonder Yarn Co, which I think are based out of Canada. And I was really drawn to this shawl because I just thought it looked so elegant and timeless, and shawls are the perfect thing for when the weather is so in between. You grab it and you go and you're okay, even if it gets colder in the day. And this shawl is done in modular fashion, according to the Ravelry website. So I believe what that means is the two different sections are knit separately and then they are seamed together. And the construction includes some very clever ways that the shawl is slowly shaped. And the seam itself adds a very attractive detail down the center, which just makes this shawl really unique, even if from the outside it just looks like a very simple shawl. So yeah, I think that this one would be great for anybody who is looking to make something very classic but still wants to try some techniques that maybe they've never heard of before or they've never tried out. I know that it would be new to me, so I do feel like this time of year is a great time to try something new. Thank you so much for sticking around to see some of the gorgeous patterns I managed to find on Ravelry this spring. Do drop me a comment down below to tell me if you want to try any of them, or if you have tried any of them and you really think that I should try them out. I'm always looking for more warm weather designs because I've always been definitely more of a strictly cold weather knitter, but I'm trying to branch out this year and I'm really excited by all of the beautiful things that I've found on offer by some really generous designers. So yeah, thanks for watching my video. If you liked it, give it a like, and if you want to stick around, then go ahead and click subscribe. See you next time. Bye!